I imagine everything is working as it should. Okay, welcome everyone who's watching to my shiny office hours. What I'm gonna be doing in this series is I'm gonna be building a shiny app from scratch. This is the Git repo I created yesterday. It literally only has a license, which I set to the MIT license so that you can do anything you want with this code. And I created a git ignore based on the pre like the templates that come from GitHub, just so that I didn't have to worry about the basic git ignore, so that I could just like have it right there in case I need it. So yeah, it's a repository. It's pretty much empty. It only has a license and a git ignore. Kind of a description of the app I'm gonna be working on for the next couple of weeks. I'm in need of a good gym app where I can track the different exercises I do. So I decided, okay, why not just do it in Shiny and show everyone how to do it? I'm thinking of something like this, one of these apps that tell me, okay, well, you can put in, okay, how much weight you want to do, how did you feel, how much weight you actually were able to do. Set up your routines so that I can set up my routine for Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, etc. And I can have my workouts all organized into a single app. And then in the future, since this is R, of course, I want to see some statistics. How am I doing? Do some regressions where I might be in the future, etc. But I want to do something kind of like this, where I can set up my own routines and the exercises I want to do. Since you don't take your computer to the gym, I'm gonna be doing it with this little package called Shiny Mobile, which allows me to set up layouts that work well on mobile devices. They still work on desktops perfectly, but they work best on mobile phones. So if I open this okay, you see it works perfectly well on a desktop, but it's optimized. If I inspect the element right here, um, let me just make this, yeah, right there. Let me set this to an iPhone X, for example. You see it works very well on a mobile device. So I kind of want to work it out in a similar layout to this, just so that I can be like comfortable using it on my phone. But I should still be able to access it from my desktop if for some reason I ever need to do that. So yes, let's actually start building this. So the first thing you need to do when starting a Shiny app is planning how you're gonna do it. So I'm gonna open up my paint and I'm gonna kind of do a little drawing of what I'm thinking about in this shape. So I'm gonna have the app, right? Let's do a little rectangle and call this the app. It's gonna be run by a Shiny. Probably just run the app inside a Docker container. So this is gonna be containerized. This is gonna go inside a container, and let's put this in an image, right? Why would I put it in a Docker container? Oh, my handwriting sucks. Let's just say this is an image so that I don't have to write it out. Why in a Docker image and then run it in a container? Because I want to be able to use this app and scale it up to many users. I want to be able to share it with my friends. I don't want to be the only one that uses it. And if it then becomes a service, it would be pretty cool so that I can use a load balancer. Let's just put LB, load balancer. And I could distribute the load across many instances of the, across many instances of the app, right? So I can run it many times without it being laggy. And I can optimize my resources like that. So that's something to take into account when I want to build the app. Also, I'm gonna need authentication. So how would I set up authentication on a Shiny app? So I'm probably gonna have to build a Plumber API. Or I could do it directly from the application. That also works. Or instead of building my own API, I could use something like Firebase authentication, which I've researched with Shiny. So Firebase authentication lets me log in with Google and Twitter and Facebook and GitHub and all of that, which could also be, which is pretty attractive. So I could use an API. This could be done by myself. So this could be in Plumber, or it could be in Firebase, or it could be Keycloak or any authentication provider. And I would have to connect these apps to this API so that the users can be authenticated. Something like Firebase is much more scalable than something in Plumber, just because Google has built a lot of tools for that. So I'm probably going to go with Firebase, but I have not decided that yet. But I want to keep in mind when building the app and the different features that in the future I'm going to be implementing authentication. So from the start, I need to be able to build my functionality with the idea that this will have to be authenticated in the future. So that's something to keep in mind. Also, I'm gonna have to store the data of the different users that are authenticated, and the data of their workouts and all of that in the database. So I'm probably gonna have a little database right here. I'm definitely gonna run it in Postgres. Let's just call it PG. In Postgres, PG. And all of these will have to also connect to this. Pretty much that's about it. I could also maybe save some data inside Firebase as well. Just so that I don't have to go to Postgres, but Postgres helps me a lot for storing and updating, mutating previous data, which is pretty helpful. And also the lazy queries are also pretty important for speed. So I am probably going to go with Postgres and use an authentication provider for the application. And since this is horizontally scalable, I can just build as many containers as I want. Firebase or whatever solution I go for authentication has to also be able to withstand the load. And in terms of Postgres, that's something, well, you can only vertically scale the database to make it bigger. But I don't think the amount of data that I'm going to be extracting off my database is going to be that big. And if I ever need to expand to another one, I would have to set up some sort of cluster that helps me distribute that. But that's way in the future. I don't think that many people are going to be using this app, so I'm not going to worry about it. But these are the things that I'm going to have to be keeping in mind when I'm building the app and building the different features and the modules and pretty much everything. So keeping that in mind, we can actually start building our app. Cool. So I'm going to go to Get Started page. There are some layouts. I want to use the tab layout, which is the one that they show here, where I have different tabs in the bottom. So I want to be able to look at my information in this way. And yep, so we can definitely start on that part. So let me go into my projects folder. I'm going to be cloning this repository. So let me just make this a little bit bigger. Code, let me copy this. Git clone, paste this. Git clone, sorry, paste this. And let me go into the folder. Cool. I'm here in my main branch. So I'm gonna be starting with issues. I'm gonna manage this as if it were any professional actual project. So everything I'm gonna be doing, I'm gonna be doing it through issues and pull requests, even if it's just merging a branch into the main branch, because I want to be able to see maybe contributions from other people. So I want to manage it pretty professionally. So let's create a new issue. So I'm going to be starting by creating the layout of the application of the app. So create the basic layout for the Shiny app and maybe some basic server logic. So I'm going to be building different, since I don't think this is going to be a very complex app, I'm just going to assign this to myself. And labels, I'm just going to put in this enhancement. Yep, I'm going to submit the new issue. So this is going to be number 1. And I'm going to zoom in here so that it's easier to see. What I usually do is git checkout, create a new branch. And I usually put like T1 for like ticket 1 or issue 1, I1. As long as you can kind of know what you're working based on the issues. Cool. So if I look here, ls, I only have my license. If I look at all the files, I have my .git. That makes it a Git repository and my git ignore. Cool. So let's create some new files. Let's create server.r. Let's create ui.r. And let's create global.r. For those who don't know how a Shiny app is set out, there's 2 ways of running a Shiny app. You can either run it all in a single file and pass it through the Shiny app function, or you could create multiple files, which would be this one's global, server, and UI, and separate the UI, the server logic, and the prerequisites like the dependencies on another file. So what are the benefits of running it in separate files? The benefits of running in separate files is that you can kind of divide your mind and have things a little bit more organized. And also, I usually put most of the dependencies and prerequisites of running the app inside the global, which helps actually quite a lot. So cool. Let's start putting everything inside the global.r. What I usually put inside my global R, let me open here my R console. Cool. So what I usually put here is the libraries I'm going to be needing. So of course I'm going to be needing Shiny. Of course I'm going to be needing the Shiny mobile. So I don't know if I have it installed. I guess I don't. Yep. So I need to install that packages. Shiny mobile. Let me select the 0. Let's make this bigger. I don't need. Is it downloading? Yeah, okay, yeah, download. Perfect. So I can call in Shiny mobile. Since I'm going to be connecting to Postgres to save my data, I'm going to call DVI. I'm also going to be calling library. I'm going to be calling R Postgres, and I'm going to be calling dplyr, definitely. These are some packages that I'm definitely going to be using for my app. Cool. I don't think there's anything else that I'm gonna want for this. So I can move on to building my UI. So let me open my NN so that I can see my files. Let me make this a little bit bigger. Cool. So here in my UI, I'm gonna need to call the function shineUI. And inside this UI, I'm gonna put everything that has to do with the UI of the application. I'm also here gonna open the server. Oh, let me write. Now here, let me open the server. And for the server, it's gonna be a function and it's going to be a function of input, output, and the session of the user. Why? Because you don't want to have, if you just had input output without the session, you're gonna ignore the uniqueness of every session. So if a user does something, it might affect and have side effects on others. If I just have the session, it's going to be different for every single user that actually enters the app. So I can write here, I can write here. And if I run the app, Shiny run app, okay, for some reason, options, browser equals Google Chrome stable. For some reason, it yeah, well, it doesn't have an UI argument, so UI is gonna have to be equal to, for now I'm just gonna put it to tag list, because I haven't built anything else. So yeah, if you look, it runs, no errors, and it's just a blank page. Cool. So let's continue with what we have to do to set up our layout. So like, let me send this to another, yeah, right here. Cool. So if I look at here, I have some layouts, and I'm gonna want to be using the F7 tab layout. If I go here to what I need for the tab layout, I'm gonna have ... I'm gonna have a nav bar, some panels, and an app bar. So for the nav bar, I don't know if there are any examples right here that I could use, because I haven't used this package like a lot. So I always need to get up to speed. So let me just copy the tab layout. I'm gonna literally just copy it. And inside here, I'm gonna delete all of this, and I'm just gonna paste it. There you go. So in here, I'm gonna put again just tag list. A tag list is just a list of tags, of HTML tags. So the benefit of that is that it's just empty. Here for navbar, I would guess I would have to put in a function. Yeah, so it's a list, and it has some hide on navbar scroll, true. So it's just apparently I don't know if it's just a list or if it's no, this is the options for navbar. So yeah, it's a function F7 navbar, and if I just pass it on F7 navbar as empty, it should work if I'm not wrong. So let me run the app. Let me check it out here. And again, I get an empty page. But I'm not sure if I wrote it. Yep. So yeah, it's just empty. So let's continue building these. Cool. So you're gonna need a navbar title. I'm not gonna have a sub navbar yet. I'm just gonna put a title. So here I can go in and put title equals Shiny Fitness. If I run this again, here I have Shiny Fitness. Cool. Hairline shadow, bigger, transparent, right panel, left panel. I'm not gonna be using that yet. Cool. So F panel, core layout is the main skeleton of the template. Navbar tool, okay. And for navbar tool panels, the app bar. So for the tab layout, argument requires F7 tabs. Right, so I'm gonna need some tabs to actually have it do things. So here, F7 tabs. So let me create a new tab. I'm gonna copy this. So here, instead of tag list, oh crap. So here, instead of tag list, I'm gonna have right here. Let me do this bigger. Oh, okay, there we go. So here, F7 tabs. So I'm guessing this is where you would slot for F7 tab. And inside of there, you put a tab. So here I would have F7 tab. And inside the tab, I would have a tab name, which must be a unique ID. So let's call this for now main. An icon, I would, so first, at first I'm just not gonna have any, and I'm gonna have it to active equals true. So if I run this, I don't know why it's not. Do I need to set it up inside a page, like an F7 page? Because that would make sense. Accepts any mobile layout. So yeah, I'm guessing I'm gonna here need an F7 page. Let me move all of this. Let me just close the server for now. We don't need it. Let me make this lines bigger. There you go. Okay, yep, that looks way better. So here I have main, which is the tab I just created, and I have my title, Shiny Fitness, and my content for the app would go here. So I'm guessing here in the main menu, I could have some graphs detailing my progress or whatever I'm gonna be doing. I'm gonna have the different tabs. So since I want to be able to put in my own information, my own workouts, I'm gonna have a tab for, let's call this tab name. Let's call this exercises. Now let's call this let's call this workouts. And I want it to be active. Later on, I can put in some icons and make it good looking. So if I run this, where did I make my, oh, I forgot a comma here. So I have main and I have workouts. And I'm probably gonna be needing I'm probably gonna be needing a tab for my what? For setting up my actual exercises. So exercise. Let's make this active true. Once again, I forgot the comma. It's right here. And that's from our app. So we have main, workouts, and exercises. Good. What am I gonna need for exercises? So by exercises, I mean like bench press, right? So this is an exercise, or squat is another exercise, and there's different hack squat is another exercise. So yeah, I'm gonna be needing to create some baseline exercises, but I also want to be able, if I ever go to a new gym and I have a new machine, I want to be able to add exercises as I please from inside the app. So let's start out with that, since that's the basic building block of the application that we're going to be building. Cool. So here in the exercises tab, if I go back to the documentation, in an F7 tab, F7 tab, here I just add my content as I usually would. So I'm going to be here, inside here. I'm going to have a div. And inside this div, I'm going to set it to an ID of list xer. Because here I want to be able to add UI elements, which would be like little boxes that include the different exercises that I have. So there's going to be one that I'm definitely going to be needing. Cool. So yeah, I want to be able to add more and more exercises as I need them. Cool. I'm gonna have to probably set a maximum of some exercises, just thinking about the server logic, but this should work. So I'm gonna have my list of exercises. I'm also gonna have here an action button. It's gonna have an input ID. Let's call this the input ID add xer. Let me put this as an underscore just to make it consistent. Add xer. So you add an exercise. Label is create new. And not that should be it. I don't think for now I need anything more. I'm not worrying about aesthetics yet. So if I go here to xer, I should have my button. It's create new, so that I can create a new one. And here I'm gonna have a list, probably with a little image. If someone can create some artwork, I don't want to steal any artwork from the internet. Or maybe the user could take his own pictures. That's also an option. But I'm going to be having a list of all the little exercises that I have. Cool. So every exercise is going to, now I can actually go into some server logic. Every exercise will need a couple of metrics. It's going to have to, well, not the exercise itself. The exercise itself is going to need some weight, right? How much weight you're going to have to do and how many repetitions. It's probably going to have some notes so that people can drop down some notes on, oh, I do this exercise this way, or I do this exercise this other way. So that's probably something we're going to be needing to implement. So for now, I'm not going to save anything into, I'm just going to put add xer and list xer. Cool. So here I'm going to have my server. So for now, I'm just going to create a list of exercises and I'm going to iterate through that list. For now, let's just call it xers. And I'm just going to do a vector. No, let's do a list right from the start. I think that would work. So every user could have some default exercises. That's something, and we could probably then save it to JSON, and so that we can save in a single database, in a single field of the database, all of the exercises that a user has. Cool. So let's create a list of exercises. Let's create bench. And what is bench going to be? It's going to be also a list, right? So what criteria does bench have? It's going to have some nodes. It's going to be bench press. And it's probably going to need an image right? And the image URL, image URL, let's call it URL. For now, I'm just gonna take any image from the internet. I'm gonna make sure to look up here that it's under Creative Commons. This is squad, so let me bench press. Is these under Creative Commons? No, it's under Creative Commons just so that I know I can use it. Yeah, so this works. Let me copy the image address and paste it right there. Cool. So now I have my data for now it's a single exercise. Here it's telling me that the line should not be more than 80 characters. For now, this is fine since this is going to be on a database in JSON. Either way, it's not going to be in code. So there's not going to be any issues with that. So for now, let's just have that. Cool. So I'm going to, for now, I'm going to have to do an lapply over xers, right? Over x, I'm gonna actually, let me sp global.r. I actually want to bring in the per library because it helps a lot iterating through lists. So I would have to do per map for xers, and this will also have to have a name, right? So bench press would have the same name as the nodes, but doesn't matter. It's just an exercise. So cool. So here .x would equal xers. And the function I'm going to be executing going to be a function of x. Let's call this xer, just the exercise. And I'm going to want to do the following. I think this would have to go inside an observer. So here I would have observe, just so that it can be in a reactive context. Okay. So I'm gonna want to use the. Let me actually. So what I'm gonna want to use is gonna be insert UI for Shiny. So with insert UI, I can insert different UI elements into the UI. So here insert UI selector where before, after, before end, after end. The UI that I actually want to put in multiple in case it matches more than one element, in this case not. And immediate I'm going to put in true because I want it done right there and then before it goes and moves out their Shiny server logic. So I'm going to have to put insert UI. My selector would be hashtag. Let me once again, espui.r. Add no list xer, right? Oh, oops, sorry. List xer. Let me close this. So list xer, because that's where I'm going to be listing my exercises. So that's where my selector would be. The UI for now, let's put in an image, just a tags image, and the source will be xer image URL. And let's just set it like that for now. If I'm not wrong, this should work perfectly. Although I'm not sure. Force argument UI is missing. It's bigger. From line 15. So yeah, insert UI. This would be the UI. So you go to xer. There you go. I have my bench press inserted. Of course, This has to be made a little bit smaller. So I can add I can add its style, right? Max width, let's set it to 60%. No, let's set it to 80%. If I go back to Xer, yep, that works. So if I inspect this element, I'm gonna close the my paint. iPhone X, it would look something like this. Of course, then I would worry about centering this, right? Putting it centered and like kind of listed, but that we can worry about all of that later. So now I can put this tags image inside a tags div, right? Like this. And inside this div, I can add some other things. So I can add something like tags h2, for example. I can put xer, the name, right? So if I run it again, I go to xer, bench press. Cool. Then I can have tags, like tags paragraph, and now we have xer, the description, so notes, like the small notes. If I run it now, go to xer, I have bench press, and I have bench press with it's the notes that I dropped down for bench press. Cool. Cool. So bench press, perfect. And now inside this whole div, I can add some style. So style, I can set it to have a let's put here style. Put it there. Background color. I can set it for now to white. I can also put down some padding. I can set it to, let's say, 10 pixels. Let's 5 pixels for now on all directions. So if I run the app now, I go to exercises. Okay, now it's let's set this max width. Let's remove it from here and let's just add it here. Max width would be, let's say, 70%. If I run it again, go to exers. So I have here my box, and the color of the text would be black. Yep, so look, I have bench press, and I have it right there. If I inspect this element and I look at it from the iPhone X, oh, I would also need to here style width, and this would have to be 100%, just to make it not go into overflow. That means, yep, if I inspect this element now, you see how it would go down in the list and start kind of making some sense. So I'm actually gonna make this a stable port so that I don't have to port equals 8080, just so that I can always reload this 8080 page and not have to worry about, and here launch browser, let's set it to false, so now I can just reload this page. Cool. So let's add another exercise just for the demonstration. So I have bench already. Let me add squat. And squat's gonna have, well, the name is gonna be squat. The notes, I'm gonna put normal squat, just for example, and the image URL. Let me look for a Creative Commons image of a squat, which I had already looked for here. Hack squat, Creative Commons. This is not how I do a squat. Like this. This is much better. So let me copy the image address, paste it right here. And if I run this and reload right here, where did I make an, okay, here, I forgot. Cool. Here, look, I have bench press and I have my squat. So this is perfect. I could also add some margin. So I could have margin. Let's set it to 10 pixels on every direction. And if I reload right here, look, it's kind of starting to get like shaped. It actually looks like something that I can actually, it looks legit, like an actual app. So what's important here is that I want to be able to retrieve such data of the exercises the user has loaded, with some default exercises that every user gets by default, and then the user can go and modify them. So I want to have these be retrieved from the database, so from PostgreSQL, depending on the user that's authenticated, right? So this exers list would actually have to go into a reactive value, and that reactive value would get updated when the user gets authenticated. So let's create some global. Let's call this user data. So just user, I think user is fine, yeah. So user is gonna be reactive values. And in reactive values, I'm actually gonna have by default the exercises. So exers, and this would be everything I got right here. So let me copy this, paste it right here. Let me just delete this whole chunk of data. And let me align this correctly. Where did I mess up my... Yep, this is, I just need to hit this once. There you go. So this one closes with this one closes, perfect. So if I run here in my observe, I will no longer have to put in, I will no longer have to put in, so I'll have to put user exers, right? Because I'm going to be calling this user reactive values, and I'm going to be calling the exercises that user has. Let me write this and let me run. Let me reload right here. So here I have exer and it works exactly the same. The only thing is that I can now update this list, this exers list, from an observer or from anywhere, pretty much. I can update this list. And that's what this create new button would do. I could probably, I would have to see with Shiny Mobile if I can redirect from an action button, sorry, to a new page. I would guess you can, but that's something that I have to reference, right? That's something I have to definitely check out. However, that's not the important part. I could just add another tab called create new exercise and have it be done from there. So I could probably do that right now. So let's do it. Let me inspect it once again so that I can look at it like this. Let's do it for now in a new tab. So let me open up my UI.R. Let me remove this section button. So here I'm gonna add an F7 tab. 7 tab. Cool. The tab name is gonna be new Xer. It's gonna be active, yes. And what am I gonna have in it? So here I'm gonna have a form of some kind where I ask what's the name of the exercise, what notes do you need for that exercise, and the URL for the image. In the future, we could add a upload image or take a picture. That's not that hard to do. But for now, I'm just gonna ask for the URL. So here I would have, here I saw in the row, why would you have an F7 row? Display a gap between columns. So we're here, F7 row, F7 call, and then F7 card. So this is pretty much what we just did. Right, yep, pretty much. Okay, so we could do it like this. I'm just gonna copy this, and I want to test out how it looks. Let me just delete one here. F7 call. There you go. And for some reason, there you go. I just want to see how this looks from the UI perspective. Error sourcing. Stop the parentheses. So F7 card, F7 row, F7 call. I'm missing one parentheses right there. Okay, it's a simple card with plain text, but cards can also contain their own header, footer, list, view, image, or any other. So for now, I think I'm just gonna do it with a fluid row. I don't feel like I need. Well, I could just like do it right here. So I'm gonna have a text input. The input ID being new Xer name for the name of the exercise. The label is gonna be name of exercise. And yeah, I think that's more than enough data. Since it's gonna be done on a mobile phone, I think having a different role for each one is necessary. No, so I'm just gonna do it the traditional way. This thing. Let me align this. Cool. So let me add here just another text input. Input ID. This will be new Xer notes, the notes I want to have. Label would be notes. Actually, I don't remember if Shiny has a paragraph input. Text area input, right. So I'm gonna put this to text area input. And finally, I'm gonna have another text input. And it's gonna be new Xer URL and label URL of image. Cool. If I run this app, okay, yeah, that looks awful. Okay, let me take a look at the reference. Text. Okay, so we need to use F7 text. So let's just look and replace. For anyone wondering, in Vim, you can use the percentage sign S slash the text you want to replace. So text input, the text you want to replace with. So if I'm not wrong, it's F7 text, right? And G to replace all of them. And here I can just, since this is only one, F7 text, text area, right? And I don't know if it's this, I would guess it's the same argument. Could not find the function F7 text. Oh, it's lowercase. Oops. There you go. Oh, this is not it. This is. There you go. Okay, yeah, so this looks much better. Cool. And now we're gonna need a submit button. I'm guessing there's an F7 button. F7 button, yes. How's the update button? Oh, this is just to update it from the server side. Okay. So that's an F7 button. This is the exact same for typical Shiny with the action button and all of that. We're also going to be adding our own UI elements later on, so I wouldn't worry much about it. Cool. So this would be new Xer save. The label here would be save exercise, or just save. I think just save. It's fine. And if we look at it now, looks so good. Cool. So now let's head to our, let me just adjust my camera a little bit. Cool. So let's head now. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller just so that we can have some more workspace. Let me open up my server.bar. Okay, so here I'm in my server logic, and I'm going to have to do this the next thing. I'm going to have to set an observe. What the observe will do is it's gonna append, right? If you know the append function, it adds an item to a list. Oops. So if I have a list here, let's say with test, and it's 1, and then I append list test2, which equals to 2. Now I'm going to have a list with test and test2, just for reference. Cool. So I'm gonna have user xers, right? And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have the same user xers, right? But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna append a new item. It's gonna be a list. And what item am I gonna add? Okay, wait, no. So before doing this, I'm gonna have to create that list. So new xer will be a list with, I'm just gonna put name for now. You're gonna see why. And this is gonna be a list. So that list is gonna have the name, which will equal input new xer name. It's gonna have notes, which will equal to input new xer notes. And it's gonna have a image URL, which will equal to input new xer URL. Cool. And now I'm gonna name new xer will have to equal the input new xer name. It doesn't really matter. This is just the key. This that goes right here, the name. So I could just set it to a random number, right? I could just, oh wait, here I have my, no, this is fine. So this could just be a random number, sequential, exercise 1, exercise 2, exercise 3, exercise 4, exercise 5. So it could just be sequential. But for now, I'm just gonna have the name be the name. Just so that we have no duplicates. And now I can actually do append new xer. I close the observer. Oops. There you go. And I'm gonna bind event to input new xer save. Later I'm gonna have to catch some errors in case the user doesn't put a name, things like that. But here I'm gonna have new xer. So I'm gonna call this the hack squad nodes, similar to squad but different, something like that. And for the image, the hack squad looks something like this, right? So I'm just gonna put this picture, copy image address. Here I'm gonna paste this. If I do save, it failed. Append user object users. It's okay. It's just user. Or did I fail? User. There you go. My bad. If I reload this, oh, I don't want to use this. So name of exercise, hack squad. Same but different. Let me just paste the URL and let me hit save. If I look at exercises, I should have bench press squat, hack squat. So I'm repeating the. Let me close this now. So user xers is equal to user xers, and I'm gonna append new xer, right? Oh, because it's inserting the whole thing. Okay. So it's inserting everything right where it went. So what I'm gonna need to do whenever I do this is I'm gonna have to remove the UI. So I do remove UI. And look at it here. So I'm gonna have to also use a selector. So that I can remove the UI object from the app. Cool. So I run out of time, but I'm pretty sure the concept is definitely understood. I could also use this with render UI and make it much simpler. But I think everything has been understood. I'm gonna leave it for now right there. I'm not gonna work on it until the next live stream, which would be on Friday, 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. So, yep, hope this was really helpful to you guys. I'm gonna get add dot, I'm gonna get commit. I'm gonna put this as a feature. Creates basic server logic for exercises. I'm gonna do this is related to number 1. Related to number 1. Let me just, oops, let me just, what's happening? Write and quit. Just quit, write and quit. I have to put in my, there you go. And get push. Yep, set upstream. Origin T1. T1. There you go. So now it's in the GitHub. you guys can access all the changes I've done for now if you want. Cool. So thanks for watching. Hope it was helpful to some of you people. We're gonna keep building this app and making it better in the next couple of live streams. In the comments, you can leave any questions you have about what we've done. For now, it's been pretty basic, but again, this is building it from scratch. So I think it's pretty cool to see how it develops from nothing to something. So yeah, any questions you can leave in the comments, or you can message me on LinkedIn. My LinkedIn is in the description, as well as the repository for this project. So yep, I will see all of you on Friday then. Have a good time.